Despite a poor first impression, literally getting stranded on an elevator, my experience at the Luxor was very positive. Let me explain why. Before I do that though, I actually need to stop and thank you guys for getting me to the 200 sub milestone. That is absolutely huge for my channel. When I started this channel, I was mostly just trying to promote my small business, but now I'm having so much fun interacting with you guys, reading these comments, chatting with people, and just sharing our thoughts on this city, and I couldn't be more grateful for getting me this far. I feel like the algorithm is actually going to take me and my unorthodox opinions a little more seriously now, and again, I cannot thank you enough. At the end of the video, I'll chat a little bit more about this giveaway I had mentioned a few weeks ago, so stay tuned for that. I gotta be honest, I don't fully understand the hate that the Luxor gets these days. For a while there, it almost felt like the trendy thing to do was to rip on the Luxor. All of these different bloggers and YouTubers were talking about how cheesy and outdated and moldy and dusty it was, and my stay there, I saw almost none of that. Now, to be fair, they definitely could do a better job vacuuming. More or less everywhere I looked, there were breadcrumbs and candy wrappers on the floor, but that's a relatively minor complaint given the sheer size and scale of this resort. As soon as we arrived, the only major flaw at the Luxor made itself known. And ironically, it's not even the physical facility itself, it's the MGM mobile app. Of course, you can use it as a physical key card to get around, to cover parking, etc., etc. And to be fair, the app itself felt very intuitive at first. But then, literally, while we were on the elevator, it decided it wasn't going to work anymore. So literally stranded on the 6th floor because our digital key card is not working, so we just have to wait for somebody to call the elevator down for us. Yeah. I do need to stress, however, that this is not an issue with the Luxor itself, so much as it's a technical failure on the part of MGM as a company. You'd think a company this big and powerful could have more intuitive apps than this. Anyway, this is very easy to alleviate. Just take the time to get a paper key card and this kind of thing will not happen to you. Simple as that. Anyway, with that little snafu out of the way, it didn't take much trouble to find our room and get settled in. And this leads me to one of the biggest strengths that the Luxor has, and that is its rooms. We specifically chose a mid-range room just to get a good feel for what the Luxor had to offer, and for the price, $47 a night, this is probably the nicest room you're going to find anywhere for that price point. Now, by Strip standards, they are nothing special. That being said, they do get the job done. The bed was very comfortable. The bathroom was very spacious and clean. And overall, the vibe was very chic, and it definitely fit well with the overall theming of the Luxor. Just to say it again, this is not particularly luxurious by Strip standards, but for the price, it is impossible to complain. Honestly, this is nicer than most of the rooms downtown, but for a very similar price. So at this point, we were both quite hungry. We decided to head down to the food court and get a feel for the food that was available. And this leads me to another major strength of the Luxor, the sheer variety of food that is available. First of all, I have to stress that Diablo's Cantina is one of the absolute best restaurants on the Strip. It is criminally underrated, and you really do need to stop and try it. But we were in the mood for something a little bit faster and more convenient, so we decided to get some hot dogs and pizza slices from the food court. I'm not going to lie, the prices were quite steep, but it's also the Strip, so that is to be expected. Overall, the food was very good, it got us good and full, and we decided to mosey around the Strip for a little while. We stepped into New York for a few minutes, we got to watch somebody get arrested, and probably the most poignant moment for me was taking a long, sad look at the Tropicana in all its former glory. Other than that, the Strip was very much the Strip, not a whole lot to report there. We grabbed some snacks for the room, and we headed back relatively early. We were both exhausted. I think the best place to start here is to address the elephant in the room, and that is the theming at the Luxor. You know, the last decade or so, there's been a shift away from the themed resorts and more towards the cosmopolitan, where it's just luxury and chic over actual personality. And it seems like the Luxor has gotten the most flack for its particular choice of themes. To me, however, it's more of a personal preference than anything when it comes to the theming. Me personally, I think it's dumb cathartic fun. You turn off your brain and you enjoy the fact that you're in a pyramid surrounded by sphinxes, then you have a good time with it. Kind of going off of that, I've heard multiple people specifically criticize the theming because it's death themed, and to me, that's a very ancillary criticism. At the end of the day, if you wanted to, you could sit down and pick apart the theming at any of these resorts. You know, the Excalibur was celebrating a time when 1% of the population controlled 99% of the wealth in Europe. Caesar's Palace is an entire facility dedicated to the gigantic ego of one megalomaniac proto-dictator. If you wanted to, you could sit down and find a way to criticize any theme that you can think of in Las Vegas. So to specifically point this criticism at the Luxor, to me, just feels a little redundant. That being said, I could also understand how people might be turned off by the theming here. I would argue that the Luxor goes harder with its theming than any other facility on the Strip. Literally everywhere you look, you're given some form of reminder that this place is themed off of Egyptian funeral rites. Even the carpeting has Egyptian hieroglyphics on it. By the way, if anyone can translate this and tell me what they're trying to say with this, I genuinely want to know. Anyway, all of this is to say the theming at the Luxor is a very subjective thing. Either you love it or you hate it. Me personally, I get a kick out of it. Yes, it's overbearing, but overall, I find it to be really dumb, cathartic fun. But again, that is 100% up to you, so don't take my word for it. Also, don't let the detractors get to you either. Take the time to form your own opinion on this. And my final major thought about the Luxor is that it embodies the notion of a resort more so than any other place on the Strip, in my opinion. To me, when I hear the word resort, what comes to mind is a place I can go and have 100% of my vacation needs met without having to leave the grounds. That means food, that means stuff to do, that means never being bored, etc., etc. And this may be the Luxor's single biggest strength. There is so much to do and see at the Luxor that you can spend an entire week just within the Luxor, never setting foot onto Las Vegas Boulevard even once, and in theory never being bored. There's several shows, there's several exhibits, there's a ton of different food, there's shopping, there's the pool and the spa, which I gotta say, this is one of the biggest and best pools on the Strip. It's worth it just to check out the pool. So all things considered, if you had the time and the money, you can spend an entire week just at the Luxor and never once be bored, despite being in Las Vegas. And going in the opposite direction, the Golden Gate and downtown has the polar opposite, where there's nothing to do aside from the one thing everybody does in Vegas. So you find yourself just wanting to leave and go somewhere else the entire time you stay there. Given just how competitive the Strip is with the entertainment things offered at these different resorts, having such a wide variety of things to do is a major point in the Luxor's favor, and I feel like not enough people talk about it. Sure, some of the acts are a little stale. You know, Carrot Top is Carrot Top, there's not much to say. Blue Man Group is a surrealist something. But just the sheer variety here puts it head and shoulders above just about anywhere else on the Strip. So, is the Luxor worth staying at in 2024? The answer to me is a resounding yes. Yes, it's a little rough around the edges. Yes, the theming is a little overbearing. But overall, for the price point and the sheer amount of stuff to do, this is an easy sell for anybody who wants to get the most out of where they're staying in Las Vegas. I don't know why so many people have come to criticize it in the last few years. Yes, it's showing its age in places, and yes, it's not the cleanest facility on the Strip, but overall, the vast majority of the criticisms you hear simply aren't true. And I, again, do not know how and why so many criticisms have come to be levied against the Luxor. Absolutely come and check it out. It's well worth your money, and it's definitely one of the best values you're going to find on the Las Vegas Strip today. Hey everyone, as promised, going to talk about my giveaway for a quick minute. So, like I promised, I believe that was almost a month ago now. I do have a giveaway lined up, and here's how it's going to work. What I would like anybody that's interested to do is on this video, just comment on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate the Luxor? 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And when I make my next long form video, what I'll do is I'll use a random number generator to select a comment, and that person will be my winner. That being said, be very mindful of scammers. I will not reply saying that you won. So if you get any messages saying that it's me, it is not. It is a liar, a cheat, and somebody you shouldn't trust. Again, I will not be announcing the winner until my next video. So just be very mindful of that. Be very mindful of scammers. Other than that, again, I just cannot thank you guys enough. This has been really fun so far. I'm excited to see where this channel is going to go. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time.